Hello everyone. Today we are here with Mr. Nehar Chakraborty and Mrs. Mansi Gandhi, who are the founders of the very popular health app Dr. C. Dr. C is the number one medical aggregator in India, and this is a combination of health and technology where you can get and compare the prices of all the diagnostic tests which are available in your city. Welcome to the show, sir, and welcome to the show, ma'am. Dr. C is referred as the Make My Trip of health apps. So, how did you come across the idea of Dr. C?
Dr. C started, I would say, accidentally. We were not looking to start Dr. C. That was not the plan. We had moved to India. We were working on another idea, and we were brought in as advisors to advise on Dr. C. The initial idea was the brainchild of my father, Dr. Reddy, and he had been working on online diagnostics for several years. And when our team met with him and we had a few conversations, it all came together. And that's how we started.
So, when you have a startup, so is it good to work on your own initially or to build a team? And as a founder, what is the key role for any startup?
First off, I would generally advise to have co-founders and not do it alone. Being a founder is really hard. It's hard, like the highs are very high and the lows are very low. And it can be a very lonely journey to take if you're doing it alone. If you do have a set of co-founders, one co-founder or two co-founders, the general recommendation is to do it within yourself as much as possible. So it's always good to bootstrap as far as you can, prove out as much as you can, fail as much as you can before you start taking on outside money or bringing in more people. Yeah.
And what is the key role for the founder?
We want to have at least one founder that understands the domain and one founder that understands the other side of the business.
There are a lot of startups which are coming up, and Hyderabad is becoming the startup capital of India. So I would like to ask you, how much time does it take for any startup to break even?
I think that's a tough one, especially given the market that you're looking at now. Traditionally, startups have, the successful startups, the stories you hear, they're still not broken even. Amazon, if you see, it was very late, I would say almost 15, 20, 30. When did Amazon start? 1990?
Yeah,
It's almost 20 years before they broke even. So it depends on the business model. If you're looking to prove out your model, you should always try to understand where the revenue model lies, and you have to first build out your product market fit. So once you do that, it depends on how much funds you can raise. But typically speaking, the right answer is as soon as possible. So if you can be profitable on day one, you should do that. If you can't, then you should take enough time to figure out when you can be profitable.
I think if your model, especially the e-commerce or any of the cab, hailing apps, if the model is designed so that you break even much later, I think one thing it's important to secure is to make sure that you're at least default alive if no one gives you money. You don't want to be in a place where it's going to take 10 years for you to break even, but no one's giving you money to get there.
So you always want to make sure that within the amount of money you have, you can hit profitability.
Okay. You don't need to, but you can.
But you can. So if you're forced to do it, you want to make sure you're alive by the time the money runs out.
Talking about Dr. C, it's an app-based technology. So how do senile people who are not very tech savvy, how do they benefit from it, and where does the future of health apps lie?
I'll take one part of the question. So we also have telephone support. So people who want to just call in can call in, and we help them with their health requirements. With respect to future of the health apps, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think one thing to note is the way most healthcare purchases and decisions are done in a family, there's generally one point of contact who's making the decision for most of the family. For example, in my family, it's my dad. He makes sure that everyone's on track, makes sure if things need to be done, they're done. He also keeps track of everyone's records, things like that. we cater to that one person. So as long as we're able to serve that one person in the family, and they generally tend to be in the age range that are okay with apps, we're able to also cater to the older geriatric population. With the where apps are heading, I think apps is more just an interface. Today, apps are the interface. 10 years ago, it was the web.
Right.
I think the future is going to be more fluid in terms of whether it's a watch, whether it's some sort of VR, how you're actually dealing with your applications might change. But I don't think they're going anywhere. I think it's just everything is going to move towards an app-based formula.
So this question I'm going to ask you on behalf of all the engineers. Even I'm an engineer, and half of my batchmates have gone to US, Canada, Australia for doing MS. And you have also done your MS from the Brown University, which has very much noted alumni like John F. Kennedy and Emma Watson. Now I would like to ask you that as an engineer, you have tasted both the countries. Business, you have done business in US and you have worked in Oracle in US, and now you have come back and have your own startup. Now I would like to ask you to compare both the areas and suggest where should we head.
So I would say as an engineer, the challenges are very different in both countries. So in the US, you're typically dealing building for a different set of problems. So you're trying to create products, and you see the kind of products that are coming out of the US. You can see Snapchat, Instagram. They're tending to deal with a lot more of what people want to do. People want to do with their additional time, or people want to do while they're free. So you have a lot of entertainment apps apart from productivity apps. And however, in India, if you see, we're still stuck in the utility era mostly. So being an engineer in India actually is a different challenge, because you're now trying to build the basics. Like the US already had most of the basics done. You have Amazon for one thing, you have eBay for another. In India, we still don't have. Maybe the first big company was Redbus for bus ticketing, but we need a big company in every segment for first the utilities to get out of the way to get the next set of products out. So the challenging in building utilities is, however, it needs to scale to a much wider audience. So I would say India is more challenging to build because you're building for a country and you're building fundamentals. US is a lot more, I would say, exciting to build because a lot of the groundwork is done and you're standing on the shoulder of giants. So you can build on top of a lot of things that have been pre-built. In India, you have to first build that. So it's different. It's very different as an engineer. Personally, I like the challenge of India and building the fundamentals first. I think the US is exciting and there's a time to do that. And I think a lot of the time we know the companies we would like to work for, or the kind of companies we'd like to work for if we were in the US as well. But the ideal scenario for us is to build a business in India because the opportunity is great.
And if we compare the work environment and the lifestyle in India and abroad, so what would you like to say about that?
I don't think there's any doubt that the US is better in terms of lifestyle. I don't think anyone would deny it.
Yeah.
It's amazing to live there. Like especially if you're living like, let's say, in the Valley, so in the Bay Area or Seattle or New York, one of the bigger places where engineers are. The kind of people that you're around are already some of the best in the world, and those are the everyday people that you're working around. So it's a lot more fun. There's a lot of things to do. It's a lot more lucrative. So you're earning a lot more. Therefore, you can do a lot more with your life. But there are also the cons. Like I think the ideal scenario is actually to have a leg here and a leg there. Because like one of the things I've realized after moving back, and I don't think I would have realized this otherwise, is that living close to family, especially as an adult, like post-college, is a very different experience. And it's I think a good part to have that you don't want to lose after a certain 30-something. But that's my personal thing. If you're working at a company, I would say undoubtedly the West is better.
Yeah.
The work cultures are superior, the kind of work you're doing is superior, and the amount you get paid is just dramatically higher.
Yeah, the opportunity is much higher.
Yeah.
So my last question for you today will be, what message do you want to give to the youngsters of India?
say, I'll kind of touch upon the same message I touched earlier today. And do the things that you really want, or do the things that you love. And it doesn't have to be clear right now how those are going to help you in the future. But if you take a leap of faith and just do the things that you want to do now, the payback will come much later.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining with us today. It was a very insightful interview, and I'm really sure that it's going to break a lot of myths in the minds of young people. And we wish you all the very best for Dr. C, and we hope that you achieve a lot of success in future. Thank you.
Thanks.